David's prayer should always be upon our lips. Create in me a pure heart, O God, that I might not sin against thee. First, purify the heart. Then you will see God. Purge the refinery, and the result will be a pure product. For some strange reason, we usually reverse that order. We try to change the inside by changing the outside. I read a story by Max Lucado. It's kind of a crazy story, so you'll have to follow it a little bit, but it gets to the point. Max Lucado tells a humorous story about changing the outside without changing the inside and what can happen. While living in Rio de Janeiro, he had a ham radio, and he kept it on top of the freezer in the utility room. When he traveled, he would always unplug the radio. One time he was in a hurry to go on a long weekend and remembered that he had forgotten to unplug the radio. He ran back and he pulled the plug and he dashed out again. Unfortunately, he pulled the wrong plug. He unplugged the freezer. He was in Rio in the summertime, and he lived on the 14th floor, which really added to the intensity of the heat. For 7 days, that freezer full of food sat in the sweltering heat. Max came home with his wife, and she went to the freezer to get some meat. Well, you can well imagine what she found. And you can guess who had to clean up the mess. The one who unplugged it. And Max thought to himself, what is the best way to clean out a rotten interior? He got a rag and some soapy water in a bucket, and he cleaned the outside of the freezer. He was sure that that would take care of the odor. And when he opened the door, he found that the freezer was revolting. Now you may wonder what kind of idiot would do that. Well, let me tell you just a little bit more. No problem, Max thought. What this freezer needs are some friends. So Max threw a party. He invited all the appliances from the neighborhood. I told you it was a crazy story. He filled the apartment with refrigerators and stoves and microwaves and washing machines. It was a great party. A couple of the toasters remembered each other from the appliance store. Everyone played pin the plug on the socket and had a few laughs about limited warranties. Max was sure this party would cure what was wrong on the inside of the freezer. But he was wrong. He opened the freezer and the stink almost knocked him over. Now what? Well, Max had another idea. If spit and polish and social life didn't do it, maybe the freezer needed some status. So he bought a Mercedes-Benz sticker and put on the door. He painted a paisley tie on the front. He put a Save the Whales bumper sticker on the rear and installed a cellular phone on the side. That freezer was classy. It was styling. It was cool. He splashed it with cologne and gave it a credit card for some clout. He walked up to his high-class freezer expecting to see a clean inside, and he pulled the door open, and what he saw was it was so putrid that it merely made him throw up. Max was down to his last straw. He thought my freezer needs some high voltage pleasure. He bought some copies of Play Fridge magazine with display freezers with open doors on the centerfold. He rented some videos of Foxy appliances. He even tried to fix the freezer up with the Westinghouse next door. But she gave him the cold shoulder. I told you it was a crazy story. After a few days of being supercharged, Max opened the door to the freezer and nearly got sick. As you can see, the only thing worse than Max's humor was his common sense. Who would concentrate on the outside when the problem is on the inside? Do you really want to know? The homemaker who is struggling with depression gets advice from a well-meaning friend to go out and buy a dress. Or the husband involved in an affair that brings him so much guilt and yet so much pleasure. The answer? Change your friends. Hang out with people who don't make you feel guilty. Case after case of treating the outside while ignoring the inside. Polishing the case while ignoring the interior. And what do you get in the end? The homemaker who got the new dress. The depression abates for a while, but it returns and overshadows her life. The husband finds a new bunch of buddies who sanction his adultery, and the result, a peace until the crowd is gone, and then the guilt is back. The exterior polished, the interior corroding. The outside looking fine, the inside a mess. One thing is clear. Cosmetic changes are only skin deep. Filion had this to say: far more important, in order to become a true Christian, one must change the within rather than the without. By now you could write a message on this beatitude. You change your life by changing your heart. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Amen. Our closing hymn is Go Tell It on the Mountain, 251. Let's stand and sing.